So we'll start off there. This is rearranging formula. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the first question there. And I'm just going to lay that out. So it says to rearrange the following formulas to make the underlying letter the subject. So in this case, we're going to have A is equal to 3 times B. I'm going to put B up there, minus 5. The reason why I'm putting B in a different color is that I'm able to isolate the B's, right? So I know which one I need to isolate. So in this case, I need to isolate the B's, so I need to look at it and I need to see how am I going to get rid of everything attached to B. So the first thing I can get rid of is this negative 5. And in order to get rid of that negative 5, I need to bring that negative 5 across to the other side. So I'm going to take it, move it across. And what I'll be left with here is A minus 5 is equal to 3B. No, sorry, that should be A plus 5. And the reason why that's a plus is because it was a negative. If it moves across the equal sign, which in this case it does, it turns into a positive. Okay, so I've just moved that and now I have my new equation. So I'm now looking at this and I'm going to look at this and I'm going to think, how can I get B by itself? And in order to get B by itself, I need to be able to do that. Keep it in pink, sorry. So to get B by itself, what I need to do is I need to look at what's happening here. At the minute, I'm saying 3 times B. So 3 times B is equal to this. So to get B by itself, I need to do the inverse operation or the opposite operation. And the opposite times is divide. So I need to divide this here by 3. So if I divide that by 3, I get B. But because it's an equation, whatever I do to the right-hand side, I have to do to the left-hand side. So I divided that by 3. So I'm going to divide this here by 3. So my final answer will be B equals A plus 5 all over 3. I'll just highlight that answer there so that you know that's the final answer. Okay, that's the first one done. I'm going to do the second one here, so I'll just label them so that you know which one is which. The first one, and I'm going to do the second one here. So in the second one, it said B is equal to 4, Q was, or W was in subject, plus 2. Okay, so you can see here with this one, I want to get the W by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tidy it up and I'm going to get rid of whatever is attached to it. And this plus 2 is attached, so I'm going to get rid of that first. And how I get rid of that is I bring this plus 2 across to the other side. Okay, so if I bring it over to the other side, I'll end up with B. If it comes across, it turns from a positive to a negative, is equal to 4, and I still have my W. And similarly to the last one, the goal here is to get W by itself. So to get W by itself, I need to look at what I'm doing to W. So in this case, I'm timesing it by 4. So to get it by itself, I need to do the opposite times, and the opposite times is divide. So I'm going to divide this by 4 to get W. If I divide this by 4, I have to make sure I divide this by 4. So I divided the right-hand side by 4 to get W. So I have to make sure I divide the left-hand side by 4 to get W by itself. So my final answer there would be W equals B minus 2 all over 4. Okay. Now, if you had left it like the last step, you would get full marks. But just think about it in terms of the examiner. If I was marking this and there was, it's much easier if everyone has the same answer. So when you're marking the exams from an examiner's point of view, it's much easier if everyone has their solutions wrote out as W equals to, as opposed to having it backwards. It just makes it clearer for the examiner. Okay. So we'll move on there and we'll try the next one. And to try the next one, I'm going to just bring that down here. So we're going to do these two. So we'll bring them down there. And we'll just have to roll this up. So if we roll that up there, okay, we're going to actually, we won't be able to roll that up. So I'm just going to have to clear the screen there. So what I'll do is I'll just clear the screen and we'll have to do the next two on this page as well. So when you're looking through the video, you'll be able to pause that at this stage. So I'm just going to have to clear all this, and we'll do the next two on the screen. Okay, so the next one there is question 3. Okay, and question 3 says that D is equal to 6, E then is what I'm making the subject this time, minus 12. Okay, so in order to sort this one out, it's very, very similar. All of this I'd say you'd actually find quite straightforward because we have done a lot of work with this kind of stuff in algebra already. So that's going to be D. Instead of being a plus or minus 12, it's going to be a plus 12 equals 6E. Okay. Now, I'm just going to see if I can move that in. I can. So I'm just going to try and keep it like this, keep the equal sign in the same place, just so you can see that it's the 12 there that moved. Okay. So it's just the 12 that moved. The D stayed on the left-hand side. The 12 moved across, so it went from a negative to a positive. Is equal to, and the 6E is still there. The next step, I need to get E by itself. So in order to get E by itself, I need to look at it and see what am I doing to E in the last step. In the last step, I'm timesing E by 6. So if I want E by itself, I have to divide this by 6. If I divide this by 6, I get E. But I have to make sure I do the same to the other side. So I have to say D plus 12 all divided by 6. So my final answer for this one will be E is equal to D plus 12 all divided by 6. Okay, just in case there is any questions there, that could be broken down further, so I'm just going to do that just in case anyone has done that. So it could be simplified further. I could have wrote that E is equal to D over 6 plus 12 over 6, and that can be simplified to E is equal to D over 6 plus 2. Okay, so just so you're aware, I could have simplified that fraction further by breaking it up if you wanted to. Okay, so just so you're clear there, all I did was break that up, because it's like when we were working with algebraic fractions last time. If they have the same denominator, you can pull them together. So if you were to think about this as an algebraic fraction, when they have the same denominator, you can pull them together, but you could actually do the opposite to that if you wanted to, and you could separate them out into two fractions being added. Okay, so we'll just do question 4 there as well, just to get it done. So you've got G equals 18 minus 5, and this time we're using H. Okay, so for this question here, what you need to do is you need to isolate the H terms. So I'm going to get rid of that because it makes it tidier in terms of looking at the H's. So I'm going to bring that over here, and I'll end up with G minus 18 is equal to minus 5H. Okay, so in order to get H by itself, which is the goal, we need to look at what we're doing with H, and at the minute what we're doing with H is we're timesing it by negative 5. So I'm timesing H by negative 5 there. That's no good to me. So I need to get rid of that negative 5. And how I do it, instead of timesing, I need to do the opposite operation, and the opposite to times is divide. So if I divide this side by negative 5, I'll be left with just H. But I have to make sure I do the same to this side, and I'm going to divide this side by negative 5. So G minus 18 is going to be divided by negative 5. Now, I'll just show you that. So my answer there could be H equals G minus 18 all over negative 5. Okay. And there's just a couple of variations of that we can show you. So when I mean there's a couple of variations, you could have wrote that as H is equal to, you could have said, so you could have said 18 minus g all over 5. Okay, and I'll show you why. Okay, so when you have a fraction, okay, we tend not to like negative fractions. So an equivalent fraction would be if I times the top and the bottom both by -1. So if I times the bottom by -1, I'll get a positive 5. If I times the top by -1, this will turn into a negative g, and this will turn into a positive 18. So just so you can see what I did there, to go from here to here, I just got an equivalent fraction by timesing by -1 on both the top and the bottom. And you should be able to see that if I times -5 by -1, I get positive 5. And if I times g by -1, I get negative g. And if I times -18 by -1, I get positive 18. So I just rearrange these two, because typically we like to have positive numbers first, negative second, right? So that's just a variation of the answer that you could have got. Okay. And obviously on the marking schemes for the exams, your examiner will have both answers on their marking scheme, and they'll be able to see which one you did. There's a couple of variations of this that you could have done also. So you could have divided it up into two fractions. So you could have said 18 over 5 minus g over 5. But typically we keep, when we're rearranging formula, we keep them top heavy. Okay, so that's that one.